Welcome back to Noob Selling Options. Today we are having some serious real talk. This explainer is all about absolute transparency because we're looking at a massive and frankly incredibly painful recent trade. We're going to break the whole thing down structurally, mechanically, and psychologically. I'm going to show you exactly what went wrong and more importantly, how we're using this expensive lesson to build something absolutely bulletproof.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now. I just intentionally took a heavy $60,000 loss on my naked SNDK strangle. Yeah, you heard that right, 60 grand. And I did it deliberately to protect my remaining capital. Taking a hit like this, it feels like a physical weight on your chest. But honestly, it's these brutal, unfiltered market lessons that ultimately forge the sharpest traders.
Look, sharing a loss of this magnitude isn't exactly easy. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of this brutal lesson, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You're definitely going to want to follow along as we transition from this painful hit to a totally ironclad comeback strategy. Teaching this stuff builds trust, and I want you all right here with me for the rebuild. We are completely in this together.
So you're probably wondering, why lock in such a massive hit? Why pull the trigger rather than just, sitting on my hands and hoping the market turns around? Why not just wait for a bounce? Well, it all comes down to one absolute structural reality, and it's a word that strikes fear into the heart of literally every options trader out there: margin.
That brings us to Section 1, the golden rule. Never sell naked calls.
If there is just one absolute rule I want every single viewer to take away from this explainer today, if you learn anything at all from my mistake, please let it be this: do not sell naked calls, period. Let this be your ultimate cautionary tale. Because when you sell premium naked, especially on the call side, you're exposing yourself to completely undefined risk. You aren't just fighting the stock price anymore, you are fighting the broker's margin department. And let me tell you, that is a fight you will eventually lose.
All right, moving to Section 2, the margin chokehold. Let's look under the hood at how brokers actually calculate your strangle margin. They don't charge you for both legs at once, right? Because a stock can't crash to zero and skyrocket to infinity at the exact same time. Instead, they dynamically calculate the risk of each leg independently, using the highest of three rules: the 20% rule, the 10% rule, or a flat minimum rule. When you first open the trade, this math defaults to a super comfortable low requirement. But here's the trap: that number gets recalculated every single minute the market is open.
So what happens when a sharp directional move or a massive implied volatility surge hits? That margin requirement expands exponentially. It's insane. First, your out-of-the-money cushion violently shrinks, so your discount just vanishes. Second, the option premium balloons, and since current premium gets added straight to the margin requirement, your broker suddenly demands way more cash. And finally, brokers can impose these massive overnight house volatility multipliers, jacking up requirements from 20% to 50 or even 100% just to protect themselves from gap risk. Suddenly, your buying power is just getting completely choked out. And that leads us to the ultimate danger zone, the margin call. When your buying power drops below zero, the broker gets the right to forcefully liquidate your positions. And they don't do this politely. They use market orders during peak panic, locking you in at the worst possible prices. By pulling the plug myself and executing a buy-to-close order, I completely eliminated that infinite tail risk. I instantly got that massive maintenance margin hold credited back to my liquid buying power, and I stopped the broker from liquidating me on their terms.
Okay, Section 3, the ticker trap, PLTR versus SNDK.
Now you might be thinking, wait a second, haven't we successfully rolled naked strangles before to defend them? And the answer is yes, we absolutely did. We successfully rolled Palantir from red back to green. But here's the catch. PLTR offers low margin agility with really tight spreads. SanDisk, on the other hand, acts like a complete margin monster. It's got a heavy notional value and massive volatility multipliers. The core issue here isn't just the mechanics of rolling a trade, it's the underlying structural capital efficiency of the ticker itself. The numbers really speak for themselves here. A defensive rolling strategy is literally only as good as the capital efficiency of the stock you're trading. With PLTR, the capital drag is incredibly low and slippage is minimal. You can easily play defense and wait for recovery. But with SNDK, the accumulated roll costs meant that every single time I defended the trade, I realized the cash loss, while the new naked legs were treated as a fresh, higher risk assessment by the broker. The exponential margin expansion just trapped my buying power. I got completely choked out before the stock ever had a chance to turn around.
Moving to Section 4, the psychology of failure.
We're all human, right? It is completely human nature to look at a paper loss and think, man, if I just hold on a little bit longer, I can get back to even. That right there is the sunken cost trap talking, and we have to overcome that psychology. By taking the loss, we shift from retrospective thinking, desperately trying to fix the past, to prospective thinking, which is maximizing our future. I literally had to stop and ask myself, if I were starting fresh with this cash today, is a bleeding naked strangle really the best place to put it? The answer was a resounding no. Closing the trade stops the margin bleed, buys back our financial freedom, and protects our remaining dry powder so we survive to trade another day.
Look, in the professional trading world, absolutely nobody goes through a career without a massive drawdown at some point. This $60,000 hit wasn't just vanished capital, it was highly valuable market tuition. We essentially paid the market to discover the strict boundaries of margin efficiency. It's like that old Thomas Edison quote, "We haven't failed, we just found a way that won't work." Every roll that failed on SNDK gave us distinct, concrete proof of exactly what not to do next time. When your account takes a hit like that, it's super easy to let fear creep in. But true confidence isn't about believing you'll just never lose again. It's about having the quiet certainty that you can manage risk and adapt when the math totally changes on you. Having the discipline to just cut the cord on SNDK proves we can execute our rules. We protected the account from a total catastrophic wipeout. And making that hard choice alone proves we've got the discipline required to turn this whole thing around.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the ironclad comeback.
Going forward, we are transitioning completely away from undefined risk. If we want to harvest premium, we're shifting to capital-efficient alternatives. We're talking iron condors, which let us buy further out-of-the-money options to strictly lock our margin to the width of the strikes. We're looking at diagonal strangles using long-dated backstops to drastically lower regulatory margin, and of course the barbell approach, anchoring our core capital safely while capping our tactical, high-volatility risk. With these strategies, our margin requirement is hard-capped on the exact day of entry. It can never randomly expand mid-trade, no matter how absolutely wild the market gets.
Because we made the hard call to eliminate that tail risk and free up our capital, we aren't dead in the water, not even close. We are revamping this entire portfolio from the ground up to be completely bulletproof. I'm incredibly optimistic about this newly revamped setup, and in our very next explainer, I'm going to walk you through the exact step-by-step blueprint of this ironclad comeback strategy. It's going to be a real game changer.
You took a massive punch. But choosing to take the loss yourself, instead of letting the market forcefully take it from you, means you are still the one in control. So before you place your very next trade, I want you to ask yourself this final crucial question. Are your trades managing your capital, or is your capital managing you? Trade smart, protect your capital out there, and remember to like and subscribe to follow the comeback. I will see you in the next explainer.